masa sebab kita ada masa sejam je. Jadi Nara jadikan sesi perkongsian ni satu sesi yang bermanfaat dan mampat lah orang kata kan. Jadi kita terus ke soalan yang pertama. Apakah maksud kemerdekaan? Kepada dua-dua lah, kepada Dr. Naziaty dan juga Dr. Syam, sebagai seorang OKU, apakah maksud kemerdekaan itu? Apakah orang kata yang harus dicapai untuk kita mengatakan yang kita sudah pun merdeka? Mungkin boleh
Dr. Syam.
Dr. Syam dulu.
Okey. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sejahtera semua. Terima kasih jemput saya. Sebenarnya saya tak ada akaun Twitter. Jadi lepas ni kena join lah kot. Join dan follow boleh space.
Boleh. InsyaAllah nanti kalau ada rezeki kita boleh guna Zoom juga lagi dan kita space lah.
Kena boleh belajar lah Twitter, tengok community Twitter macam mana. Orang kata community Twitter dengan Facebook lain.
Boleh nanti kami boleh tolong orang kata bukakan pintu itu untuk doktor nanti insyaAllah. Okey.
Jadi berbalik pada soalan tadi kan, apa kemerdekaan bagi saya sebagai seorang OKU, ini adalah pandangan personal lah. Jadi memang sebelum ni ramai kan orang tanya apa erti kemerdekaan, dan orang selalu bagi jawapan klise lah, penjajahan lah, apalah itulah. Tapi pada saya sebagai seorang OKU, merdeka untuk saya apabila kita boleh hidup secara bermaruah, hidup dengan berdikari, mempunyai jati diri sendiri, dan juga rasa belong to our community lah. Bermaruah ni bermaknanya walaupun kita duduk dalam masyarakat, kita ada hak yang sama dengan orang lain, tak dipandang sebagai kira yang kurang hak daripada orang lain. Tak boleh nak naik kapal terbang, tak boleh kena sign itu, kena sign ini, nak guna servis ni tak boleh. Itu kira seperti tidak bermaruah lah macam tu.
Macam wujud halangan lah orang kata kan.
Betul,
halangan
double standard lah.
Betul.
Macam rasa macam dilayan seperti orang kelas community kelas ketiga pula kalau ada macam tu kan, macam tak bermaruah lah. Seterusnya saya cakap tentang berdikari itu, sebab untuk membolehkan kita rasa kita ni tidak dijajah ataupun tidak terlalu bergantung kepada orang, ataupun kita ada autonomi, kita mesti berdikari lah. Jadi dalam nak berdikari itu kadang-kadang ada cabaran dia lah. Contohnya tentang accessibility, contoh bagi saya yang tak nampak ni kan, OKU penglihatan contohnya. Contoh bila ada terima satu teknologi baru, paling senang saya bagi contoh water dispenser lah. Water dispenser kan dulu kita ada air sejuk, air panas, ada 3 suhu, kita main tekan kan. Sekarang dia ada touch screen. Jadi untuk OKU penglihatan, dia bila touch screen tu susah sikit. Jadi mula-mula nak kena belajar lah. Tapi sebelum belajar, sebelum pandai itu kena minta tolong orang. Bayangkan kan, nak minum, itu adalah basic need. Untuk minum, kena minta tolong orang. Rasa macam tak merdeka betul. Macam terjaga. Nak dapat minuman pun kena minta tolong orang. Itu saya kata, erti merdeka tu adalah kemampuan untuk berdikari. Lepas tu kita ada jati diri kita sendiri, kita bebas untuk express kita punya pendapat, kita punya feeling, kita ada identiti kita sendirilah, kita tak terikut orang, kita bercakap pun tentang dengan idea kita sendiri, bukan jadi penyambung lidah orang dan sebagainya. Dan seterusnya yang akhir sekali cakap sense of belonging, yang rasa dipunyai oleh dalam community. Jadi sebagai OKU kita pun nak duduk dalam community. Jadi kita nak rasa belong to that community lah. Bila kita rasa dipunyai tu, kita rasa kita ada tempat, ada social support. Kita ada orang yang kita boleh refer apabila kita ada masalah dan sebagainya. Itulah pada saya lah.
Sebenarnya banyak poin yang Nara boleh katakan yang Nara pun rasa benda yang sama lah. Nara rasa kebanyakan warga OKU pun rasa macam apa yang doktor rasa. Jadi terima kasih sebab berkongsikan orang kata perasaan dan rasa dan harapan lah orang kata kan. Kalau untuk Dr. Naziaty pula macam mana doktor?
So I speak English can
Boleh, boleh.
So what does independence mean to me as a disabled person? I think from my point of view first. So first I'm so many things. I identify myself in many ways, right? Like everybody else. And there is a facet of myself which is a disabled person, which I recognize. And there is a reality that I go through every day as a disabled person. So I would like to put it out there that I am also an older person.
Yeah.
So I have multiple disabilities, physical, vision impaired, and also mental health issues. So now I am a mental health advocate as well. So that's a part of me right there, of who I am. So I'm just trying to understand this situation. So I'm not representing anyone at this moment but myself. So when I want to say what does independent mean as for me, I will look that the issue the makeup of body, mind, and spirit. Everybody has a body, mind, and spirit. So when we look at certain individuals, we see their spirit shine like unbelievable, right? Like Stephen Hawking. Do that so intellectual, and with all the support that he got, he managed to convey his thoughts. But how he managed to do that is because of the spirit. This is different than inspirational porn. This is something to do with if you're like the minimum of physicality that you can do things, but you have the spirit and the mind, strong mind, then you can able things, but with the support, obviously. Stephen Hawking's wife is his assistant, and he's got a lot of support in terms of technology. So you see here, we see that the three things, body is very limited, right? And as much as I could, right, with my body. But if my mental is strong, that's why I'm a mental health advocate now. Because as I grow older, I'm having more challenges, you know? So I discovered this, that at the end of the day, if my mental is strong, I may not be able to do certain things physically, you know, but if the person accepts me when living in a community, when having relationships, this is okay, it's fine, I'm happy, you know. Like for example, if you're a man and you're disabled and you want to open the door for the person you love, you know, your sweetheart, but you can't because you're physically disabled. But the person accepts you, they can open the door themselves. So this is like, you shouldn't feel bad about it. You have that limitation, but in spirit you can do a lot more. In mentally, when you're strong, you can do a lot more. So I go and position this independence in terms of you can get some assistance, but you are able to fulfill a life. You have to have a fulfilled life, a complete life, you know. So I like to go and position that that way. What is independence as for me as a disabled person lah. We can go into the other thing later.
Okay, thank you so much doktor. Terima kasih banyak. Okay, jadi kita proceed juga kepada yang seterusnya. Kalau nak dikatakan kita ni dah orang kata dah merdeka kan, apakah yang orang kata tu dalam aspek OKU tu sendiri, apakah orang kata aspek-aspek yang kita boleh anggap kita ni sudah pun merdeka? Maksudnya dalam masa sekarang ni lah, adakah dari segi, sebab kalau boleh Nara katakan secara jujur, kalau dari segi accessibility tu masih belum merdeka lah kan. Kalau daripada pendapat Dr. Syam sendiri, adakah kita sudah merdeka sebenarnya? Untuk
Kalau
warga OKU lah.
Kalau dari segi dari segi negara tu memang dah merdeka 64 tahun kan. Tapi dari untuk pandangan OKU sebagai diri OKU itu sendiri, kalau merujuk kepada definisi merdeka saya tadi tentang hidup dengan bermaruah, berdikari, ada jati diri dan belong to the community tu, saya rasa merdeka sepenuhnya belum lagi, tapi dia dapat autonomi lah. Kalau kita tengok kan ada setengah negara yang belum merdeka tapi dia ada autonomi, belum merdeka sepenuhnya lah. Okey. Nah, kenapa saya kata macam tu kan? Macam tadi Nara kata tentang accessibility, bila nak ke satu tempat tu masih ada halangan. Jadi macam masih lagi dijajah lah. Tak boleh nak pergi shopping contohnya sebab tak ada ramp. Okey, naik lift masih lagi sesat sebab lift tak ada braille, tak ada suara. Nak pergi tingkat 10, naik ke tingkat 20 keluar kenapa tak jumpa. Itu jadi masih lagi otonomi belum merdeka sepenuhnya, masih ada syarat-syarat ataupun masih ada sekatan. Contohnya bila nak naik bila nak dapatkan pendidikan tinggi contohnya, tak boleh, program ni tak mesra OKU. Jadi ada condition macam tu. Jadi kalau kita merdeka, kita tak ada halangan, sepatutnya tak ada halangan yang macam tu. Tapi sebab ada halangan macam tu, saya anggap masih belum merdeka sepenuhnya, tapi masih dalam keadaan adalah autonomi. Sebab ada certain things yang memang diberi peluang untuk OKU untuk melakukannya. Memang ada yang dah berjaya ke pendidikan tinggi, okey, dan diberi peluang untuk bekerjaya dan sebagainya, walaupun dalam keadaan yang sukar lah. Sebab tu yang saya kata tu masih lagi belum merdeka tapi ada autonomi lah. Kalau dari segi maruah tu kadang-kadang kita tengok kalau di tempat-tempat awam, kalau PU kalau nak masuk kedai kadang-kadang kena halau. Kalau orang buta kan ingat kita nak jual tisu dan sebagainya. Jadi dulu macam saya pernah nak buat assignment dulu masa undergrad dulu kan, nak masuk satu bangunan, dia kata kat sini tak boleh jual barang. Pakcik kami bukan nak jual barang, kami nak buat tak boleh. Sekali saya pergi Pizza Hut dengan kawan lah, dengan housemate masa tu. Bagus lah, you tolong dia adik-beradik ke? Bukanlah, kita orang kawan. You ke yang selalu bawa dia jual kupon area Taman Tun? Bukanlah, kami student universiti lah, cakap dengan dia. Jadi dia pun rasa macam dia feel bad tau. Anggap macam tu, okey tak apalah, ni sup ni you refill lah berapa banyak you suka. Jadi dia tengok macam maruah dia macam diinjak-injak macam tu kan. Jadi kadang-kadang macam yang contohnya 2-3 hari lepas saya order makanan lah. Jadi bila rider datang dia hantar makanan, tak ada orang lain ke yang boleh ambil? Kenapa pula aku buta je kot? Takkan ambil makanan pun tak boleh tak? Jadi rasa macam second class, third class macam tu lah.
Faham sangat-sangat doktor. Okey. Kalau boleh Nara sambunglah apa yang doktor dah cakap tadi kan. Macam mana doktor orang kata berhadapan dengan stigma ni kan, dan how do you educate orang dekat luar sana untuk orang kata tidak wujudnya stigma ini terhadap warga orang kurang upaya ni lah. Apakah yang doktor lakukan? Alang-alang. Sebagai individu lah. Kalau contohnya kalau melalui NGO tu lain punya cerita lah. Kalau saya sebagai individu, contohnya dekat pasar raya kan, ataupun dekat kedai lah, nak bayar pakai cash kan, contohnya orang kadang-kadang heran, boleh tu kira tahu kira duit.
Cakap tahulah satu, saya ni mata duitan cakap dengan dia. Pandai jawab. Saya lecturer universiti cakap dengan dia. Jadi oh ya ke? Sorry. Jadi daripada situ kita bukan marah lah, tapi buat cara kelakar. Jadi dia tahu sebenarnya orang buta pun pandai kira duit. Orang buta pun masuk universiti boleh kerja dengan bagus. Okay, selain daripada itu melalui NGO lah. Saya aktif dengan Society of the Blind in Malaysia, National Council for the Blind. Kita ada buat macam-macam program dan melalui universiti juga saya dijemput untuk macam-macam program lah untuk advocate untuk the rights of persons with disability ni.
Okay, thank you sangat Dr. Syam. We go back to Dr. Naziaty, shall we? What is your take on this? Doctor, you are muted, Doctor. Okay, yeah.
Okay, now, yeah. Okay, what is, where are we in terms of independence, right? Because we're going to have our Malaysian, not Malaysia Day, but Independence Day soon. Independence, take the word independence, and one of the definition of the similar words to independence is self-determination. The process, the meaning is a process by which a person controls their life, their own life. So then we go to Wikipedia on what is independent living. Living is, I would like to remind us, it's high time for us in Malaysia to look at independent living concept, yeah? A way of looking at society and disability. It's a worldwide movement now, since the 70s, of disabled people working for equal opportunities, self-determination, and self-respect. The issues that Dr. Shamsuri mentioned just now with regard to dignity, maruah, kan? Yeah? Even in the context of older person, elderly person, independent living is part of the continuum of care, where assisted living is the next step. Tapi dalam konteks OKU, independent living tu, yang berdikari tadi kan, bila cerita pasal berdikari tu, sometimes you need to have assistance. And in some countries, like in Japan, in America, the government provide for allowance for the assistance. So, these are the outcomes we see in our country. Why do we have those things? You know, when I look at Twitter, my friends who are UK activists, their complaints is about not being able to get the correct information about a restaurant to meet up their friends. But they don't have problem. They have some issues in transport, but all the infrastructure is there. It's just the train staff. The staff at the train station was slow in getting to them. So that is the complaints that you get. But in Malaysia, what are the complaints that you get regarding the outcomes? The outcomes that we want the country to have by this time. Because we had the Person with Disability Act in 2008, and we had the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities signed and ratified by Malaysia in 2009 and 2010. So what are the effects? What are the outcome of these legislation? But we also come across, like what Dr. Shamsuri has come across, the perceptions of a non-disabled person, that they look at a disabled person. In this case, the word beggar came to mind, you know, because this is how they recognize things. Now, more and more, seriously, disabled people should be out on the street because our pavements are not accessible. You know, they need power wheelchair. Takkan kita nak pergi beli Toyota Alphard and then kita pergi and drive with, you know, we cannot afford those things. And our transportation is not 100% accessible. So the visibility of this more seriously disabled person is not even there. So how can people recognize disabled person is something that is normal, you know? If it is by 2040, elderly person population is 17%. Person with disability population is 15%. There is only one third of the population, and we're still not planning for it, not monitoring very well, what is happening, what is the effect of legislation, how does legislation, when it comes to play, can make the situation much better in terms of the perceptions of non-person to disabled persons. For example, so we must look into the independent living movement, because there's a lot to read. You can look at that, and you can also look at the website, the medical model versus the community model. They've come a long way to actually push a lot of reforms in their countries. And they still have problems, obviously, that I mentioned to you, but problems in terms of person's perceptions are there, but they kadang-kadang iri hati though. Non-disabled, you all got, they have all these facilities and allowance, they're a bit jealous of disabled persons. There's a different cultural context. But for us, we are very close to poverty. Now we're looking at COVID-19, the issue of disability and poverty is very interlinked. When you are poor, it's more easier to get disabled, less access to healthcare, and a lot of the facilities, So we can look at so many sectors in our country, not having this infrastructure in place. And we can talk about accessibility. There's a lot to talk, but
yes,
I think push forward independent living balik.
Independent living. All right.
It's not the one yang ada sekarang. Those are not independent. Those are independent living centers. The whole movement of our country, we should menggembelengkan tenaga untuk force the independent living movement.
Okay, so I believe kita punya listeners malam ni has take away, especially this particular concept. Mungkin kita boleh read up on it, kan? Independent living. Is it closely related to accessible universal design? I believe so.
Independent living, you know that how the American Disability Act came about. They're one of the first anti-discrimination act in the world. It came about of the civil rights movement in the 60s. And when you look at the movie Crip Camp and all this, right, and how that pushed the ADA to be established early. So universal design is something that happens in parallel for designers to consider in their design. This independent, the universal design principles. There are 7 of them. That is specifically for designers. Kalau you check out universal access, people generally use these terms to look at considering everybody's needs, children, old persons, disabled persons in the design, the planning and design of the built environment. But when we talk about independent living, is in Japan, I saw the video. They talk about a lot of things. When we know about, I've heard of a situation where a blind woman said her family was against her married and have babies, children. They're afraid that she cannot take care of them. That's a blind person. What about a more intellectually disabled person's rights, to have family, to have a sex life, family life, and stuff like that. So we're not, independent living movement is about that, trying to, they have centers, but how they do it is that they like once they can, a seriously disabled person can come out of their homes and they have these allowances that the government give and stay on their own outside. Do you know that for you guys, maybe you guys still live with your families, can? You haven't got married yet, maybe not thinking about it, I don't know, stuff like that.
Comment.
So, everybody wants to have a family, a partner, and stuff like that. That's what independent living movement is about, because they help you. That's peer counseling. The most important thing about independent living is peer counseling, where somebody similar to you, kalau I'm in the crutches, I don't advise somebody in a wheelchair or paraplegic. It's that nuance. My peers, the one that I talk to, they encourage that, you counsel each other and try to resolve problems because you have exactly the same issues. Yeah, macam I go to the post-polio syndrome Facebook group, right? Now that it's social media, it's much more easy to have peer counseling, I reckon. You can do online. So it's about the possibilities of things to happen. You don't matikan your dreams and your imagination.
Right. So
more than universal design.
Right. It's basically a form of living, right? It's a concept of living, culture, and everything else, right? Okay. I was waiting for Dr. Sham to come in actually. Okay. Shall we proceed with the next question? Apakah orang kata tu standards. Nara guna perkataan standards lah kat sini untuk kita sebagai OKU, orang kurang upaya ni, bila kita nak cakap kita dah ke tahap kemerdekaan yang sepatutnya. Apakah yang kita harapkan, apakah yang kita mahukan, apakah yang kita patut ada untuk kita define diri kita sebagai warga OKU yang telah pun merdeka ataupun negara yang wujudnya komuniti OKU yang telah pun merdeka. Mungkin Dr. Sham boleh sambung?
Okey. Tadi ada panggil saya ke? Maaf, tadi terkeluar.
Tak apa.
Perasan charger tutup.
Okay.
Mute saya punya screen reader, jadi dia alert tu dia tak cakap.
Okay, tak apa.
Okay.
Alright.
Jadi, apa kita standard ataupun indikator lah yang nak kata kita ni dah merdeka.
Betul.
Yang pertamanya basic needs tu kena fulfill dululah. Jadi kalau OKU tu mestilah untuk dewasa, saya rasa selain daripada makanan, pakaian, tempat tinggal tu, dia mesti ada dah fulfill perkara tersebut. Selain daripada tu, dia dapat pendidikan yang berkualiti lah. Pendidikan yang berkualiti, sama macam orang lain. Okay? Bukan disebabkan dia OKU, dia hanya diajar buat bakul contohnya. Diajar untuk kerja-kerja kemahiran walaupun dia ada kebolehan ataupun ada kelayakan untuk melanjutkan ke pengajian ke peringkat tinggi. Okey, jadi dia perlu dapatkan pendidikan yang setara dengan dia punya kelayakan. Okey, seterusnya dapatkan pekerjaan yang setara dengan dia punya kelayakan. Seterusnya yang lain-lain lah, hak-hak yang kalau kita tengok dalam Akta OKU tu kan, akses kepada kehidupan sosial, kebudayaan dan sebagainya. Jadi yang itu perlu dipenuhi lah. Dan akhirnya kita akan benda ni yang lebih subjektif, yang saya rasa yang kalau kita tengok dalam Maslow punya hierarki itu kan, self-actualization. Okay?
Self-actualization.
Bila kita dah fulfill kita punya keperluan-keperluan yang di bawah ni, kita dah capai kita punya self-actualization, kita boleh contribute kepada orang lain, kita berpuas hati dengan diri kita, kita pun berpuas hati dengan orang lain, kita boleh menyumbang balik kepada komuniti, bukan saja komuniti OKU tetapi orang-orang yang bukan OKU. Dan sekarang orang selalu cakap tentang subjective well-being, kesejahteraan subjektif. Jadi itu part of self-actualization lah. Kepuasan kehidupan, kesejahteraan psikologi, kesejahteraan emosi, dan gembira, bahagia dan sebagainya. Itu tahap teratas yang indikator untuk kemerdekaan lah.
Okay. If for you, Dr. Nas, how do you define it? Like, what is the orang kata tu, what do you want out of what we have been fighting for all this while, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. That's why Dr. Shamsuri mentioned about the Maslow punya triangle, isn't it? Or the pyramid. Yeah.
Pyramid, yeah.
Self-actualization. The true victory is when persons with disabilities or disabled persons is perceived as part of society in a way that it's not about us and them, you know, not about us and them anymore. It's we lah. When somebody in government, the government function, local authority, agencies, government agencies, doctors, teachers, lawyers, whoever, all the professionals, architects and environment professionals, when they do the work that they're supposed to do, the function in whatever they are in, designing or planning and somehow incorporating the needs of person with disability, they don't think that disabled persons are separate from them. You know, this whole attitude of you think that you're going to be perfect all your life or you're not going to be disabled, you have to actually, this is a problem with able-bodied persons who think that they will never be disabled in their life. So, you know, it's always the thing that disabled person have to go into mainstream development or disabled issues are being considered disability or accessibility in mainstream development. We are begging we apply for it. We, you know, we hope for it. We pray for it. We, you know, it's us going into that. But what about, let's dictate, can we actually create a situation where you guys need us? Able-bodied people need us because you need to know what being disabled is because you will be disabled as well. You will be all what, you know, you will have weak knees, you will, you know, you will be limited one day, you know, and in many ways, mental or physical and stuff like that. So you're going to learn this, you're going to be empathetic. So you're going to have to go and plan for the future of your older selves. One disabled person that in a family of 5, just say the grandmother or the grandparent using a wheelchair, they can't go out together for a meal because it's not accessible, you know? You know, what kind of life is that? You can't enjoy with your family a meal together. You're limited to make roadside stall, which is, you know, park your car there and just go a bit. You push the wheelchair. You can go into the nice restaurant in the 5-foot way there. You know, there is 50% of the population already that are limited by accessibility. So what's the problem? The problem is with able-bodied in the society who thinks that they're going to be perfect and complete forever. You know, like COVID-19 taught us about how fragile life is. You know, why can't we plan for that? So the standards that we have to create is that the special needs, I talk about 1/3, I talk about 50%. The standards that we need is that special needs are normal needs, are the needs that we need. Just make it work. Each and every individual that's responsible for the function that they're doing, be they a professional or in the government, just do it right. If the contractor is not doing it right on the street, go to the street, make sure it's designed right. You don't want to go and waste government's money and have to renovate. And they will wait for the next budget. So that sense of duty, due diligence, you know, it's always that we have to create commissioner, we have to create laws, you know, to push people to do the correct thing. Why can't we feel that we have to do the correct thing? Haven't the COVID-19 pandemic teach us anything? You know, that sort of thing. So, kesedaran ni sebenarnya, kesedaran ni dia sesuatu yang bila dah lewat, you know, dah already too late, then you realize lah macam COVID-19. You know, when you didn't adhere to SOP and suddenly somebody you know close to you, stuff like that lah. But that one is very quick, the pandemic. But this is similar about disability. Then only you think, oh my God, I didn't prepare, I didn't save money to renovate my house to have it more accessible, you know. Oh my God, I didn't make the place more accessible, you know. Yeah, so I can go on and on about this actually, but there's the standard. The standard is that everybody knows their responsibilities. The majority at least. Majority means 80%. Ini kalau dah sikit-sikit, tidak apa, tak apa. OKU dia tak ada tempat berjalan kaki betul pergi dekat jalan je lah.
Yeah, that is also one of the things that I have been, orang kata tu, fighting for kan. Bila kita nak bagi tahu orang that kita ni, this is our need. This is not what just because what we want it. And trying to make people realise tu adalah satu benda yang susah lah kan. Tapi it's a journey lah orang cakap. Tapi itulah apa yang kita share ni, hopefully you know ada orang yang boleh spreadkan benda ni dan sebagainya. Okay, I'm gonna go a little bit more public, right? Like how people can help us to achieve the kemerdekaan ke macam mana ke kan. Jadi untuk both Dr. Naziaty dan juga Dr. Sham, apakah like what do you see that people can do? Apa yang orang kat luar sana boleh buat sebagai sebahagian daripada masyarakat untuk orang kata help, actually at least untuk help kita improve our quality of life lah. Kalau tidak orang kata tu capai ke tahap sejauh mana yang kita inginkan pun at least membantu, you know. Untuk Dr. Sham macam mana? Mungkin boleh bagi sepatah dua kata.
Okey, sepatah dua. Okey. Jadi memanglah peranan komuniti itu memang besarlah dalam memastikan nikmat kemerdekaan ni dicapai bersama oleh kita lah. Itu macam yang Dr. Naziaty kata, it's not about ni sekarang kita dah fokus kepada we, it's not about us and them lagi, kita dah fokus kepada kita semua kan. Jadi sebagai satu komuniti, masyarakat dia perlu tahu bahawa disability tu bukan sebab orang tu impaired, orang tu cacat, tapi sebab adanya barrier. Barrier in terms of attitude, in terms of environmental, okay, polisi yang tak apa-apa, informational, apa yang macam saya cakap tadi, lift tak ada suara, tak ada braille kan. Jadi yang itu menyebabkan seseorang tu disable ataupun menjadikan seseorang tu kurang upaya. Okay, tapi kalau barrier tu kita pecahkan, ia akan jadi masyarakat tu lebih inklusif lah. Jadi peranan masyarakat adalah yang pertamanya, kita kena pecahkan halangan lah supaya orang isu ketidakupayaan tu tak lagi timbul. Okay, jadi contohnya macam tadi Dr. Naziaty kata, bila satu family nak pergi makan kan, takkanlah yang berkursi roda kita nak letak yang lain masuk restoran, yang lain yang kursi roda kita hantar makan dekat dalam luar, makan seorang-seorang kan, kesian kan. Jadi dalam memastikan seseorang tu achieve independent, okay, jadi inklusif, yang pertamanya barrier tu kena we need to break the barriers lah. Pecahkan halangan sikap, okay, halangan persekitaran, halangan polisi yang tak apa-apa tu, halangan maklumat kalau ada, tapi yang paling utamanya halangan sikap lah. Kalau sikap positif, saya rasa yang halangan-halangan lain tu akan lebih mudah dipecahkan lah. Okay. Dan bila halangannya tu dah dipecahkan, kita bina pula jambatan lah. build the bridge.
Build the bridge.
Untuk hubungkan orang OKU dengan bukan OKU, untuk hidup sebagai sebuah masyarakat. Jadi dengan tiadanya halangan, dengan adanya jambatan, OKU ni tak dilihat macam orang asing, sebagai alien dalam masyarakat. Kenapa dia datang sini? Kenapa orang buta tu datang stadium nak tengok bola, dia bukan nampak. Tapi adalah cara dia nak menikmati macam mana bola tu kan.
Betul lah, kita ada 5 senses kan.
Dia tak ada sense, tapi dia dah ada pengalaman jadi macam istilah kita orang selalu pakai buta lah, bukan apa, memang istilah yang tu yang kita selalu pakai. Ada experience jadi buta daripada kecil sampai dewasa, mungkin 20-30 tahun dia dah experience. Jadi dia tahulah cara nak overcome dia punya obstacle tu.
Betul.
Jadi, dengan kita break the barriers, kita build the bridge, orang yang dah berjaya memecahkan halangan, dah berjaya bina jambatan ni, contohnya kalau dekat universiti dia dah biasa bercampur dengan orang buta, dia tahu orang buta ni jahat juga rupanya kan. Bukan ahli syurga lah. Selalu orang kita kan, bukan anak syurga kan, konon tu kan.
Ya, betul.
Kalau macam dulu saya kecil-kecil kan dekat sekolah kan, cikgu kata mula-mula kalau orang nak pelawat datang menangis sebab tengok keadaan awak, tapi bila duduk 3-4 hari menangis sebab tengok sikap awak, dia kata. Jadi bila dah break the barriers, build the bridge, jadi dah tak ada dah. Kalau nak tegur ke, nak bergurau ke, dah boleh.
Betul.
Jadi tak adalah tanggapan yang salah ke, ataupun tanggapan yang terlalu buruk, terlalu naif, okey. Bila dah berjaya break the barriers, build the bridge, sama je. Mata je tak nampak, yang lain semua macam orang biasa juga, jahat jugalah. Itulah.
Alright, dapat kita bergelak ketawa malam ni dengan Dr. Syam ya. Okay, jadi kita sambung pula dengan Dr. Nas. Maybe you have a thing or two to say on the question that I shared just now?
Yeah, we always cannot, like Dr. Shamsuri mentioned about cultural issue kan, where people believe anak syurga and all this. If you orang sakit, your doa is more, it's a better stuff like that kan. So I do get, people suddenly stop me and go and pray over me, not only Muslims but Christian also they. So it's very interesting. We take it lightheartedly, and being disabled from a child since 3 years old. There's different ways that our parents try to go and deal with it, so that we mentally we are strong, that we can do all the challenges. As we grow older, being less independent, we need assistance. So this is something the social protection, you call it, for those who are poor, even those who are poor and disabled, they're much more vulnerable than if you are older and a bit richer, you can still have some money to support yourself. So there are agencies in behalf of the government, the professionals, and the NGOs that are involved in creating this decision making on what's happening in our life, in our environment. But of course, underlying all is the sentiment yang Dr. Shamsuri mentioned about attitude, the people's perception. Pangkal atau akar umbi dia is the attitude lah, that can create all the physical barrier dengan communication barrier, yang dikata pecahkan halangan-halangan ini. Jadi dari segi pembelajaran atau latihan untuk kesedaran berkenaan dengan ketidakupayaan tu, seperti kursus disability equality training atau disability awareness training conducted lah by individuals or the government agencies in-house atau with other intra, should be something that is that can start lah people sedar kan about the disability ni, because there are many people who have not had to at all in their life have someone who are disabled in their life kan, so they're totally ignorant of people with disabilities, and you know, all these things, education is the key factor. If it's in primary school, you know, do in kindergarten we start, because when kids socializing, you know, I still come across parents who maybe they don't like me. They told the child, the neighbor, they told the child, you better don't do that. If not, the disabled person will get you. You know, that sort of you create like this personality, you know, but I would like to go and really show that personality. What Dr. Shamsuri said, kan, we really show our bad side, kan, because we're just like anyone else. But this is a thing about the kindness, kind human beings that we create in this Malaysian society. Start from kindergarten, you know, we used to call it social studies, but you know, whatever it is in kindergarten, that how to address the person with disability, you know, who are they, you know, and also be familiar, you know, older persons more, and primary school and secondary school and so on lah. And it'll be not such a big deal for them when they have to be working in their own capacity as an adult in whatever function that they be doing, you know. So first is be kind with yourself and others, and then for you know, when we have to be careful in saying what we feel with others, but we also need to say what we feel if we feel it is not right. Another thing is, you know, we always want to complain. Who's the boss? Who's the parent? You know, want to complain to them. But we can actually teach people as well ourselves. We don't keep quiet. We tell them, you know, you do that in Twitter land, you know, but it takes such an effort. The bots are there. They're not real.
Yeah.
So, but you know, this is to do more of non-social media stuff, like people that you work with. Because sometimes I feel somehow that they don't understand that it takes 3 times our effort. You know, macam for me as a crutch user, to walk around using crutches, my heart rate is 3 times I pump it, and have 3, and I could heart, the heart punya muscles could be. This is what my doctor said, by the way. The heart could be thick, and it can cause heart attack. This so your it used to be when I was younger, I senyap je lah, buat je lah kerja. But in reality, you know, it takes a toll on you if you don't say something. And that's why in our laws are the reasonable adjustment to adjust to our needs, you know. So this is the public life that we have. That the society has to be kind to us. See it as their duty, but also that they are empathetic and understand that this, you know, be honest, you know, not honest, but be understanding lah in terms of wanting to assist and not discriminated upon. So we insist on our rights. It is a two-way street. It is not just one way. Kita keep on asking, but the other part also must learn. They must, if they didn't learn as a child or as a student, they have to learn as an adult. They can change as long as they. Yeah, that's it.
Alright. Okay, sebenarnya kita nak buka ruang untuk bertanyakan soalan. Jadi bolehlah kita kejap saya baca dulu. Ableism, satu corak pemikiran. Oh, ini adalah inilah daripada Yana, tak apa, daripada admin kita. Okay. So since I will just open the chat box kalau nak ada tanya soalan, but since we have a bit more time, sebab tadi kita ada cakap pasal orang kata tu peranan warga yang bukan OKU untuk mencapai kemerdekaan, right? Tapi macam mana pula orang kata warga OKU tu sendiri, apa yang mungkin Dr. Nas atau Dr. Sham boleh advise ke ataupun any tips ke for them to be able to reach that kind of kemerdekaan ke macam mana, because we always say things like the community plays a big role in ensuring that kita dapat accessibility and all these things, right? Tapi we rarely talk about how important it is for orang kurang upaya tu sendiri untuk orang kata memainkan peranan for them to grow, for them to help themselves to grow and to contribute to the community kan. Mungkin Dr. Sham and Dr. Nas boleh rumuskan sedikit. Kita ada masa sikit lagi dalam 10 minit. Jadi sebelum kita tutup mungkin boleh dapatkan perkongsian daripada Dr. Sham dan Dr. Nas lah.
Okey, jadi untuk mencapai inclusiveness and accessibility, benda tu bukan satu benda yang mudah sebab masyarakat rata-ratanya tak aware, okey, ataupun ada yang aware, yang sedar, okey, OKU ada tapi bukan isu saya lah. Okey. Jadi peranan OKU dekat sini sebenarnya untuk educate, okey, untuk advocate masyarakat tu adalah sangatlah penting lah. Kalau OKU duduk diam saja mengharapkan kerajaan buat itu buat ini tapi dia tak advocate. Yang pertamanya self advocacy lah. Advocate yang untuk diri dia dulu. Mungkin kalau nak kata dia advocate untuk community OKU mungkin belum lagi, tapi yang pertamanya untuk diri dia sendiri. Bercakap untuk diri dia sendiri, jangan benarkan orang bercakap untuk dia bagi pihak dia, ataupun jangan pinjam mulut orang lah untuk cakap. Ada mulut sendiri cakap sendirilah. Okey, jadi self advocacy itu sangatlah penting. Okay, dan saya percaya untuk kita lebih kuat adalah melalui kebersamaan ataupun kesatuan ataupun berpadu suara lah. Jadi sebab itulah saya yakin dengan pergerakan dalam bentuk kumpulan, sama ada tak kira lah kumpulannya secara rasmi melalui NGO dan sebagainya ataupun kumpulan yang tidak rasmi melalui chat group ataupun melalui social media dan sebagainya. Jadi daripada situ kita akan belajar daripada orang lain. Sebab ada yang dah lama advocate untuk hak OKU ni di Malaysia. Jadi kita boleh, dia orang ada experience, kita boleh belajar daripada mereka. Dan yalah, bila kita tambah banyak-banyak tu, dia akan jadi makin berkembang lah. Itulah yang saya rasa penting.
Okay, Dr. Nas, a little bit from you.
Yeah, for a disabled person, what you want individually is what other disabled person or non-disabled person want as well. We ada our desired goals, to have a partner, to have a family, to have a job, all the things, a house, a car, whatever it is, we all have the same desires. However, we should make time to actually collaborate with other people. And what Dr. Shamsuri mentioned about the community of disabled persons, like it or not, this is the reality that we are in, but we must also try to be peka lah dengan apa yang berlaku dengan community disabled person ni. What's wrong and right, ableism ke, somebody putting the definition of ableism in the chat box. If there is such a thing that is happening, ableism can also be from our disabled community itself. So, that you have to be wary about this, the way of thinking, amalan atau practice ni, is a way of gaslighting to me. that we have to assist our friends, who are in this situation, a situation where it's a negative situation. We have to go and make it positive. So this is very important, because in our attempt to change things, right? We want to make changes happen. People are going to undermine or undermine, I forgot which one, our efforts ni, in collaboration to achieve our dreams of a Malaysia that is just in having a non-discrimination of person with disability and a level playing field, where we are able to achieve education and employment like everyone else. And not only that we have mentioned juga lah, families and stuff like that. The most difficult is this idea that sometimes we have to also feel our body, ourselves. Something is wrong kan, kita resah ke, kita anxious. We cannot deal with it tau. We cannot leave it. Umur 20 tahun fikir macam tu, tapi dia akan leave it. Umur 30 tahun feel like that, leave it. Then when you're 50, all that burden will come back to you and will cause mental health issues. So we must be aware of these things. Now that there's very, very much they are in communication with each other, and we must not be afraid of our vulnerabilities. That is our strength. So, we could be more sensitive to our vulnerabilities than non-disabled people, and help non-disabled people to see those things as well.
Right.
Yeah, we could lead the way.
Right. Okay. So sadly, we have 3 minutes more to go. So I shall tutuplah sesi untuk hari ini dengan mengucapkan terima kasih, especially to Dr. Syam malam ni yang pertama kali join kita.
InsyaAllah lepas ni ada 2, 3, 4, 5.
InsyaAllah, amin. Thank you so much. I had so much fun handling this session, sebab dari awal memang I have been looking forward to this lah. Jadi thank you sangat-sangat to Dr. Syam and Dr. Naz, of course, our very own advisor for Boleh Space. And tak lupa juga to JBIM team, which is Puan Wan Zuraida and Miss Go juga. Every month, assisting us doing this. So thank you so much. This is my first time actually seeing both of you. So, and also not forgetting to our audience for tonight. Thank you so much sebab join, walaupun ni first time kita guna Zoom actually. And hopefully maybe kita boleh guna explore other platforms lepas ni and capture even more audience. And I really hope that this sharing was a very quality one for everyone. You can learn a thing or two from this whole session. And untuk penutup, Nara nak ucapkan minta ampun dan maaf kalau ada kurang daripada tim kami sendiri. Dan thank you once again. Thank you so much for spending 1 hour with us tonight. And ada admin kita share dekat sini. Ada dekat chat box kita ada survey yang boleh diisikan, dan minta sebelum leave the Zoom session boleh isi dulu. Dan di sini Nara ambil kesempatan lain sekali untuk ucapkan terima kasih dan Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and see you guys again next month, insyaAllah.
Waalaikumsalam, terima kasih.
Terima kasih.
Gang Boleh Space.